So, welcome to our last Q&A call, ladies, for TAP, The Adventurer's Path. How are we all feeling moving into this last week and a half?
You're freezing on my end, Nick. I don't know if it's me
you're
or you.
saying your is low.
Give me 1 second. Is that better now?
Yeah, seems to be.
Okay, great. Perfect. So how are we going? Because I'm super proud of everyone. What has progressed? Wow, a little bit of pressure with the time, and suddenly everyone's like, I think it's time to make some breakthroughs.
Yeah.
So I'm super proud of everyone for what you have achieved, what bullshit you have just eliminated, where you have seen your patterns so closely, and you've been like so aware of them and what you have to do next. It's just been like things have been going. But I would love to hear so far, because there's still a week and a half to go. So far, what is the biggest breakthrough that you've had during this whole time that you've been here? What are you celebrating? And I'll open it to whoever wants to go first.
Do you want to go, Sophie?
I don't know. Yeah, sure. I am finally in mediation with my ex-husband, which is less frightening. It's still frightening for me, but it is less frightening than resisting it was.
Brilliant.
Which is the thing, isn't it? And even though I can see that the road ahead, getting my son an official assessment and a diagnosis and an educational care plan and everything, even though I can see that that is going to be a long and difficult and frustrating road, I'm beginning to see the shape of that, and how that will happen, and where we might get the support from. So that's very different. I'd love to say that it takes more of the day-to-day pressure off, and it doesn't. Of course it doesn't. But it makes it not endless. Do you know what I mean? And then just having the revelation of remembering who I am, of just sort of saying, well, I'm not a slug. I do move fast. I get on with things. I don't hang about. I can do all of that. When I make the decision, I've always said this about myself. I don't know why I forgot. When I make a decision, I just get on with it. I just have to make the decision. And in order to make the decision, I have to have no resistance.
Yes.
So that's, yeah, I guess those are my two big wins. And I mean, you know, I do feel, even though most of that is personal stuff, I do feel positive about my business, that, you know, not doing anything really for my business in June I absolutely had to do that. It has reshaped how I do business, and financially I'm definitely feeling it, but I'm not too worried, because that will evolve. So that's where I'm at.
I love it. I'm so proud of you, Sophie. Remember that when we hopped into this container, I said to everyone, it doesn't matter where the resistance is, it will stop you. It will make things feel hard, which of course has a knock-on effect to your business, right? So if things feel hard for you in your real life, then you're less likely to get on with it and do the scary things that are in your business, right? So This is huge for you. I know that when you go through this, and even now I can see how you've changed from stepping over the cusp of having to have the conversation to now having the conversation in mediation, and this remembering how that's going to flow into your business afterwards with all this energy, because you remember who you are. I work fast. I just need to be I just need to be out of resistance. You know how important these things are. So it will affect it after the fact. So I just want to reassure you that even though you haven't worked specifically on your business, it always has a deep effect.
Yeah.
Everything, it's always interconnected. Yeah, we know
Yeah.
this. So I'm
My
so
business-
stoked for you.
Thank you. My business identity is my self-identity. It's, you know, what do I think I'm capable of as a person?
Yes, exactly. And now that you know that you can move fast, things that you've been dreaming of in your business you know that you can make that decision as soon as you're out of resistance. If you feel resistance to any of the dreams that you have, you just deal with that, and then boom, we're happening, right? So it's like what you have learned from this other side of your life, like life, of course, is going to be totally transferable to how you make decisions and you move and act in your business. So
Yeah, 100%.
yay, stoked for you.
Thank you.
So Christina, let us unmute yourself and let us know what you are celebrating from these past nearly 12 weeks, 10-ish weeks.
So I think that I was, I'm not sure how long everybody has been in entrepreneur life, but this is only a year, a little over a year for me. I think I was just learning how intertwined life and business was going to be different. You know, when I left the hospital, I left at the end of my shift and there was no turning back. I was complete with work. I wasn't bringing work home. So I was just at a place where I was seeing how intertwined life and business was before entering here. And this helped me get through how difficult that was, that transition, because that has been my most difficult area of entrepreneur life.
Yeah.
Not my most difficult, but in personal life, bringing business into my home and relationships and just no longer separating it. So I think this helped me work through that transition in a really great way. And I think that I'm celebrating that I have sat with myself the most in these 13 weeks because I wanted to.
Yes.
I wanted to, for me, without any external factors contributing to my life.
Yeah.
And that has been really, really good, because I know I've mentioned it in the past, you know, working as a death investigator and losing my brother. I've had a lot of that has affected my life. So I've wanted to work on navigating through how I feel and how that's affected my life. But because there was a negative impact. This is something that I felt like I was working towards within myself. You know, I'm working towards something by choice, not to get over something or to get through something, which has been I've never sat with myself in this sort of capacity before.
Awesome. I am stoked for you. I am so stoked for you. And I'm glad that this came along at the right time, where it was just like, you're just seeing how intertwining business and life is as an entrepreneur. And you, seriously, if someone had offered me something like this when I first started, I would have gone, thank God, because it took me fucking ages to figure that out, right? And to have someone support me through that. So you just hit it like perfectly before it became a huge thing. But the bit I love the most, which you just said, is that the growth because you've wanted to, not because you've been forced to, or because you felt uncomfortable, right? So because often we only choose growth when we are so uncomfortable with what is happening with us, like something sad has happened, something horrible is happening to us, and we have to, because it's our way to cope. And you just said it, you sat with yourself with, instead of fear and pain driving you, it was passion and goals and dreams driving you. Such a different energy to work on yourself with, right? So growing, working on yourself in order to expand into your dreams, not because you're trying to get away from the tiger, right?
Right. Yeah, that's exactly it. That hit the nail on the head.
I'm awesome. I'm so that is the way, ladies, that I would love everyone in the world to take personal development, not because they're forced to, not because they suddenly find themselves in some horrible thing that they have to get through, but because they just want to live their best life ever. And they know that they can. They've got an inkling. Their soul is telling them, I have more in me to give, right? And that's why they choose to do the personal development stuff, not because it's something's horrible has happened to them, right? So I'm stoked for all of you being here, because that was the call, right? None of my sales things said, are you afraid that you're not going to get your dreams? Are you afraid that you're going to become the failure that you really dread that you will become if you don't come on my course? Come on my course, right? All of my sales things was, if you really want to go for what you want, I've got something for you. And you answered that. So I thank you a whole lot for being those women who have taken the time to actually take on this personal development journey, this journey of growth and consciousness, for you to expand towards something that you actually love. Yeah, so big, huge thanks. And thank you, Christina, for bringing this up. This is awesome. Hi, Sarah. So I'm just going around your next, saying like the one or two things that you would love to celebrate from the last 10 and a half weeks that we've spent together. And we're just here to listen and celebrate with you. So it's yours.
Thanks. I've been listening since Sophie's been talking. I've been putting away laundry and kids are still settling and Nathan's staying a bit long. Anyway, long story short, I'm here. But I've heard what both Sophie and Christina have said, and I think I share all of that. Like, I think without knowing it, Christina, maybe I have knowing it. It's always been this battle between home and work. And because being an entrepreneur is the thing that I'm the most comfortable with, I like to do things on my own terms, things that I'm passionate about. What am I most grateful for? I'm grateful that I have clarity and that I actually know what I want, and that I actually love and respect myself enough. I can recognize that I love and respect myself enough to go and get what I absolutely want. I mean, it's certainly a journey, right? Because, I mean, technically, this is the end of my first week of work, like being back at work. Because, you ladies have seen me kind of get to the point of, okay, I actually want to do this. And then actually setting myself work hours, and then actually going to work and actually having goals and trying to achieve them. And at the end of this week, all the same resistances, all the same demons have reared their heads of, time I've been away, time I've been distracted, things that have fallen through the cracks, but I'm trying to really focus on, all right, this is what worked really well, and this is what I've achieved. And I am so grateful. I was actually typing in a message. I'm like, no, I'm seeing them all tonight, so I don't have to type it to all of twice this week, near the end of this weekend, Nathan has said to me, first thing he said to me, he's like, you've been different this week. And he's like, different good, like different really good. Like, you have just got such focus and purpose, and you're a different purpose. You're a different person.
Queen energy.
And I think it's good. And I was like, and then the other thing you said today, he's like, yeah, this week was a good week. Actually, we do it often. Like, today was good. Today was a good day. Yeah, today was a good day. In other words, like, we worked as a team. Like, things went well. The way that we handled things as parents went well. The way that we handled things with each other went well. The way that we managed our time went well. And so he was like, yeah, this week was really good. I was like, yeah, and considering it was like a very different week, a different schedule. Like, I'm a different mom this week. And he was like, yeah, it's a good week. So that was my external validation that I always have been craving. But at the same time, I was like, okay, so he sees something So it's a process. So I'm grateful that I'm on the journey. I'm incredibly grateful that I'm actually on the journey. You know, I'm actually walking the road now. I'm not just standing at the bus stop and contemplating stepping on. So it feels good.
Yay. Huge congratulations, Sarah. This is awesome to hear. I'm so stoked for the clarity because I also know your energy that, again, like Sophie, when you make a decision, you're both firecrackers and you're just like, boof, and go and make it happen. So it's like,
gosh, I could relate to Sophie so much. When Sophie, when you said, oh, once I've got to be in my bonnet about it, I've just got to do it. Like, I like recondoed my whole house after I watched the episode. You know, I watched the show. I was like, too much crap in the house. We've got to get it out. You know, same sort of thing.
Yes, and I love what you said, that the love and respect for yourself enough to go for what you want, because that's the crux of it. You know, this whole self-love thing. I kind of alluded to that when I had that revelation about the worth, you know, really shoring up, when what we really should be looking at is how much love you have for yourself. Because if you love yourself that much, you will make boundaries for yourself. You will make things happen for your dreams. You will make room and time and space. You will create resources. You'll create support. You'll do all of those things because you love yourself so much, not because you're worth it. Right? Not because you're worth it to get something outside there of you, but because of the love that you and respect that you have for your dreams. So I'm stoked that's what you have recognized, Sarah. And I hope that the rest of you recognize that too, is that this, if anything, to work on that self-love is like the most important thing. Yeah. Because when we love ourselves completely, respect comes with that, and we value ourselves. We just know that we are not worth it, but we are valuable. Yeah, we're valuable. We're inherently valuable. And so then that makes us want to go and do our things.
I think for me, that concept of self-love, like prior to this 12 weeks, if we had this discussion of self-love, I would be like, yeah, I love myself. Sure. It was very superficial. I didn't realize the depth that I needed to take myself, to truly love myself, and the ripple effect it would have on so many other areas. I probably resisted it in a sense prior to this, because who wants to, I don't know, at least for me, I didn't want to admit that there was a part of me that wasn't connected to myself, and how deep, you know, my connection to myself and my love for myself needed to go to be of service to everybody else in my life and to everything in my life. And it was very superficial. It was very superficial, and I didn't recognize it. I thought I had enough self-love at the time.
Yeah.
And it's still work for me right now. I'm still in that, trying to love myself more. But I recognize it a lot more now.
Awesome.
I think a lot of it has to do, I think it was 2018 that I really learned about the languages of love. Like end of 2018, early 2019. My mother was here visiting, and she was married to my stepdad, and she had come alone to spend a few weeks with me, and as I just had my first daughter, and she was busy studying about the languages of love. And you know, like, you can love yourself, but if you aren't showing yourself through acts of service, through gifts to yourself, through quality time to yourself, through words of compassion and love, through all of the languages of love, then it's not a deep and meaningful way. I think.
You know that, Nick, that my journey around self-love has been and will continue to be a long one, because there hasn't been any self-love for 100 years. There hasn't. And
I'm laughing because he said 100 years. such an actress, aren't you? So
at least
dramatic.
2 generations has got to be. Yeah. But you know, it has been a long journey, and I think that thing of innate value is very helpful, rather than being deemed worthy, because you just have to exist to be worthy. You don't have to actually do anything to have innate value. You don't have to earn it, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And that basically.
Awesome, ladies.
Can I, sorry, I just want to go on what Sophie said.
Yes.
I actually worked through a resistance in this book somewhere. And my truth rant was like, hit that very same thing on the head. I was talking to Worthless Sarah, and I said, Worthless Sarah, there is nothing you would ever need to do, say, sing, or achieve that would add to your value, because you are already wholly divine, complete, loved, and a celestial being. You are made from the matter of stars. You are from heavenly parentage. You were gifted and beautifully grown into life. You were fearfully and wonderfully made to live this life, walking in your majesty as a limitless being. And it was so easy to talk as the third person. And then I had to flip it to you are. Like, I was like, you are. It's not that you are valuable, you just are. And the fact that you are makes you of value. And I flipped it to I am all that I need to be whole and complete, lacking nothing, proving nothing. It was that exact same, that caveat of my value doesn't come from what people can get from me through the actions that I perform.
Yeah. And also your value doesn't come from you getting the things that make you valuable or worth it, right? So this is what grates me with the whole, like, I'm worthy of love, I'm worthy of more money in my business, I'm worthy. It all depends on someone showing you that thing, right? Maybe not the love, because the self-love you can, but money. I'm worthy of earning this much money. But if you don't get that, what does your sense of worth feel?
Yeah.
Right? So it kind of is an outward focus. And this whole point, which we've been working on, is this real like sourcing of inner power.
I think what's been really interesting for me is I've been sort of skirting around an idea for a course that I would like to lead about radical self-acceptance, where even if you're not doing the work now, but I do want to say more about that, but even if you're not doing the work, you're still lovable and worthwhile and have innate value.
Yes.
But what I've got from you, Nick, is this and as I said, I wrote to my mailing list about it, about this idea of going slow, and where there is absolutely an argument for, mate, you need a rest, go take a nap, stop everything, put some things down, scratch some things off your to-do list. You're doing too much. There's an argument for that, and a place and a time for all of that. But there's also the whole kind of hiding away and being small, and learning where that line is, where you're doing more of one and not enough of the other. So the radical self-acceptance for me is about, yes, even if you're having a shit day, even if you said something horrible, even if you did the wrong thing, even if, you are still all that you need to be, but you can do better. So let's do that whilst loving yourself. Does that make sense?
Totally. And I think this is the crux of self-love. It's not only accepting where you are, but also wanting to realize your potential.
That's it.
Yeah.
Oh, you just said it so much better.
I've thought about this a lot, Sophie, so don't worry. Yeah, really? I've been thinking about this a lot of years. So this is the whole, the paradoxes of the universe, right? One is always in the, like,
accepting
yourself where you are, but also wanting to strive, right?
Yes.
So we live in that paradoxical universe, and we sway between the two. And as you just said, it depends where you have got stuck. Yeah. One of you might be so stuck in the trying to strive, ignoring the now and the loving yourself right now, or one is just doing the I'm loving myself right now, but she's only doing that because she's afraid of going for what she wants.
Yeah.
Right. So there's the energy and the tones between that you need to read. Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to say is I realized there's another huge thing that I am immensely grateful for. I don't think I can state it enough, actually, is that you've created a space safe enough that I can be really triggered and it's okay, and that I can go away and look at my stuff and look at why I'm triggered and know that I'm still held in that safe space. You know, even when I'm being a shit team member or, you know, a whiny bitch or all of those things, that it's okay that it's safe to be triggered and to be lovingly guided towards your, you know, good stuff. My English good.
And I want to applaud you for that too, is to bring up that fact. I'm so stoked that that we have created that space here, and that you were brave enough to just go, fucking triggered. You triggered me. So there are, you know, and I think this has been the beauty of this small little group that we've had the pleasure of being in, because often when it's a big group, there is a tendency to want to just hide, and you can in a small group, in a bigger group, should I say. You can just be like, triggered, out, exited.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's like too many, I wouldn't be able to keep my fingers on everyone in here. But since there's 3 of you, I'm like, no. Sophie, Christina, Sarah, like, where are you? Like, so this has been beautiful. And yeah, I want to thank you for being that honest and saying it as well, because that's all part of it, right? So yeah.
It absolutely is. I could so easily have quit. I could have gone, this is too hard and it's making me feel bad. And because my home situation is such a shit show at the moment, that I don't have the space to do this higher work.
But you didn't.
But I did, and it was bullshit. So yeah.
Yeah. Awesome, ladies. So is there anything coming up over the last week, or coming, you know, like you're feeling into the future and you're realizing we've got a week and a half together? Is there anything there that you want to look at, talk about, bounce ideas? Obviously, you've all got a handle on the tool now, which is amazing. I'm realizing I probably should have made this container a little bit longer than 3 months, but we got there. So anything that you have questions for or concerns about, this is your time.
I'm concerned that I'm going to really miss this support. I'm actually genuinely concerned about that rather than just sad, because of the space that you've created has opened up at so much possibility. I'm not sure if I necessarily trust myself to be as on it as I would be with this accountability.
Christina and Sarah, do you have that concern as well? Is that something in the back of your mind from when you leave at the end of this, end of these 12 weeks?
I think that this space has allowed any resistance to be okay. Like, as much as we're trying to burn it, it's not, it's something that I'm facing and not escaping from out of embarrassment, or it's just the camaraderie of facing issues in the safe space that Sophie's saying. You know, there's other, I think that talk openly about, comparing myself to others. And, I had to take a deep dive into what is this jealousy feeling that I am going through. And, I think Sophie mentioned it one week, you either get away from it and avoid the people on social media that you keep comparing yourself to, or just genuinely love on them and their place, and that I have soaked up these weeks, soaked that up, because that has been affecting me a lot. And it was okay. Like all of a sudden it was okay to have that jealousy, and how can I work through that and the comparison. And that's not something that I would have talked about with anybody else. Or because I don't know, I think there was an embarrassment feeling of, how do you have jealousy in your business and speak to women's empowerment and live it all.
I'm just going to hazard to say that we've all felt that and done that before, and we all teach some level of empowerment for women. So okay.
I mean, Sophie, I don't even know what you do, but I love your handle. I help healers. And essentially, that's what I think you do, right? And I went through trying to recover my voice after losing it with my pregnancy with my oldest daughter. The speech pathologist that I worked with, I said, well, how can I stand up in front of women and teach them how to be in tune with their bodies and to listen to the sensations that are feeding back to them, when for 9 months I didn't listen to my body, and as a result I lost my voice. And through labor I lost my voice. And she goes, but didn't you learn some amazing lessons from that experience? I said, oh yeah. She goes, we're wounded healers. The wounded healers are the most knowledgeable, most wise, most lived through teachers that there are. So I was like, okay, there's no shame in being a wounded healer.
Definitely.
Yeah. But the question, to answer your question, Nick, yes. I don't know if I'm like fearful, but there is that question in the back of my mind of, I don't have a community of fellow entrepreneurial women who are on the same page as me, and who are willing to talk through the vulnerabilities and hold space for everything without judgment. I mean, I'm just thinking that it's such a privilege that I could sit in and ah for 8 weeks about whether or not I even want to teach Nia. and all of you put up with my crap. And then eventually, Nick, you were just like, okay, you need to just tap into your intuition, and because you know what you need to do. So that's a big thing. Like every step of the way, right now I've even got a question that I want to put to all of you. And I was like, Nick's just going to tell me to work through all the tools because I know the answer. But this is a space that I don't have anywhere else. Mm. And even if I sit and I talk through, so I'm clicking my pen habitually, even if I talk through my resistances and my fears to my husband, he's like, he's in fix-it mode, and
the man, the masculine way.
He's in man mode, and he's not an entrepreneur, and he's watched me from the sidelines step into teaching and into my career. But he said to me this week, and it didn't even hurt my feelings, because a couple of weeks ago it would have been true, but this week it wasn't. He said, when you laid out, he's like, I've been impressed seeing you do what you stick to your work hours. He's like, and I just happily agreed to them to support you, because he goes, you're going to get mad at me, because in the back of my mind, I thought it's not going to last very long. And it would have, my defenses and my would have just like jumped out at him and gotten so angry, and my inner turmoil would have stoked. But I even said to him, I was like, you're probably right. No, you're definitely right, because I wouldn't have been determined. I wouldn't have gotten to that place where I absolutely knew what I wanted and how to achieve it. But I think the way that I came about getting here and making this plan of I work on these days for these hours, the way that I got here was through clarity and with brutal honesty with myself and having worked through the resistances and dealt through my crap. So he is my best friend. He's my confidant. He's the person I bounce it off. And he was like, yeah, it's not going to last long. So to say that the space is incredibly cherished to me now. Yeah.
Okay, well, I've been thinking about this over the last week, and I've proffered to, especially to Sophie works with me one-on-one. She's one of my VIP clients, but I was thinking more about Christina, yourself, and Sarah, yourself, about what continued support could you have with me. And there were two ideas, because I knew this would come up. I was like, I have a feeling this group is not done with the group. So you can either choose to stay in your group together, you three, really working the thing. I will step away from the group. Or what has been percolating in my mind is that we can keep this container open, but with less of my commitment to it. So in the future of how this will run for me is that I will be taking more people through this process, whether that's through one-on-one or another group like this. And I've been thinking that I want to filter them into more of a monthly membership type thing, right? Where we pay a lower cost to be part of the synergistic, where we understand the language, right? Because you are three now who understand a certain language. And if you go and try to talk to other entrepreneurs who don't know this language, you may not get the support that you really need. So we've talked about this before in terms of there are a lot of empowerment groups out there for female entrepreneurs, but they don't necessarily push you towards your greatness. They mollycoddle you and take care of you and keep you in the small space. We have created this momentum, and you have the language now to speak to each other, to empower each other, really, truly be kind to each other and go, Sophie or Christina or Sarah, get off your ass, do the resistance work and come back to us when you've done that, right? That is, you cannot say that to everyone else out there, because they'll just be like, you're a total bitch. I just want to stay. So there's two things here, and I want you guys to decide what you would like. So you can you all speak the same language now. You could stay in this group together, you three, Sophie, Christina, Sarah, you can stay in your thing. Or if you think that it would be useful, and this is something that I'm thinking will be useful for the future of everyone else coming through, is that I can continue to be here to facilitate, to check in. We could have monthly calls, and it would be more of a membership style. So you choose if you want to hop out at some point, I'm done with the group, I'm done with that. I don't need that kind of support anymore. So I'm going to put it out there for you, and I'd love you guys to privately chat about it, not with me. And then you can decide what you want to do. Yeah. And I will get more clear, because it's just been dumped into my consciousness about 2 weeks ago, to be honest. I was like, what is to be done after this? And I was like, haven't thought that far, because I was only working up to the 12 weeks, and it's like, and I was like, they're not done. They're not done. I know these women are not done. And I don't mean that as in you don't know the tools. I mean that the amount of support and the trajectory that you are on together is not done. And so I will sit with it also and see how I feel about where I could fit into that if you choose to continue working with me in a group capacity. But I also want you guys to consider, is it feasible? Do you think it's feasible for you three to do it together? Do you want to do it that way? Or is it helpful to have someone who's a facilitator like myself and who has that maybe more of the experience with these tools and seeing through your bullshit? So I'll just put that there. Anything else coming up in terms of concerns? This doesn't need to be about the end of the thing, but just in the next, we've got a week and a half. Oh, one thing I wanted to put out, Christina, and I mentioned this in the group. You talked about, maybe I won't be able to get my huge goal in a week. And I put it to the group, and I want to say it again. Remember that we're working with the realm of limitless possibilities, which means that everything can happen whenever the fuck we want it to. right? And the more that we get away from our resistances and the more we can tap in, which is that last module, which is putting it and inserting yourself into that moment in time and attracting that to, not even attracting it to you, being in that, which is an embodiment and a vibration, things can happen like that, right? And I'm sure you've all experienced that before. The first easiest one is when you're calling in a car park, right? And you're like, I'm going to get the Rockstar car park. Boom, the Rockstar car park's there. You drive up, you pull in, right? That is like the simplest evolution of that. And the more skill that we get at that, yeah, for sure, you in 10 days or however long we've got, Christina could have a 250K contract sitting there waiting for her, right? So just notice in your language too about how you take yourself back down to your identity and not into the authentic, your real, true, authentic self, which is limitless. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, this is the first space that I have, it's been okay for me to dream big. I have worked with other coaches who have supported my bigger dreams, but have always pulled me down to say, well, let's focus on this first. Let's focus on your one-on-one coaching first.
Like,
right. I've never been, and even, you know, my mom, who is a nurse, who is so supportive, has so many doubts. A lot of healthcare, not because of me. She knows that I'm capable, but just her doubts of the healthcare system have pulled down my bigger dreams. Like, because of the healthcare system, do you think you can make this work? You know, yeah, I have faced so much dream popping that I have not experienced here. So you're right. I do have a lot to work on with my language, and because I feel like I've always been in this place that I have to prove it. I have to prove to so many people that I can obtain these dreams, that if I put a maybe on it, that I won't disappoint.
mm-hmm. Yeah. And we encounter those people all the time. Mm-hmm. And they'll usually are the ones
usually related to
it. Yeah. That, and
because they're also personally invested in your feelings as well. So they're projecting their fears and wanting to protect you. It's like everything goes back to birth, right? It's like you don't bring somebody into the birth space who's going to say, honey, there's no need for you to suffer. There's no need for you to go through all of this hardship. Just get an epidural. It's okay. No, you need somebody
just keep the baby in.
Just keep the baby in. You need somebody to say, all you need to do is breathe for these next 50 seconds and you'll be fine. All you need to do is breathe. And I'm here to you, and you can take that next breath. You're here. You can do it. So all you need to do is go to the next appointment and put in that next application and send that next email. And before you know it, you're going to have a baby of $250,000.
250K baby, bring it.
No, sorry, I just went on a bit of a rant, but I totally know what you mean. Yeah.
So anything else coming up for you ladies that you need? Questions? Sarah.
I've got this huge thing that's ruminating in me. I have been sensing a resistance that I've had with this one Mantra Active is the studio that I've been collaborating with.
Yep.
I did this workshop with them on Thursday night. It went incredibly well. I wasn't facilitating the workshop. I was co-hosting. So the owner of the workshop, she ran the thing, and I featured in about 3 songs, you know, but she, like, of movement and stuff. But she, you know, kind of got my opinion, and she treated me as like an equal participant in front of all the participants. It was incredible marketing, and a bit of a shout out to me to market classes for me to her current students. But I don't have a locked in date, like I said. But here's the thing, I'm too afraid to ask. I'm too afraid to say, all right, guys, like, So we discussed this, and even though she has tagged me in this new hashtag, me and her other 4 employed trainers, she's like, okay, guys, let's get going. You know, today so and so will put a video out. On Monday, Sarah can put out a video. On Tuesday, somebody else can. And I'm like, you're treating me like one of your trainers, but I'm just at this point, I'm still just a guest that comes in and does workshops maybe once a month. But I'm too nervous to ask her via text, because to me that's unprofessional, and that'll be the thing that she won't want to hire me for. And so I realize I'm hitting all these resistances, and I'm actually like halting my progress because I'm waiting to hear back from them if they want me or not.
Okay, so there's like, first you need to figure out why you're so afraid. Like, is it rejection? Like, what part of it do you believe that that is going to happen to you, and what does that say about you? Second, like when you said you are waiting, that's the whole like inaction, right? And there is always an action that we can take, an empowered action. Like, does it feel empowering? Sometimes it does feel empowering to wait, right? Like there's this part of it, it's like, okay, usually I'd run ahead
if you're in a position of power.
Yeah, so, exactly. It's empowering to wait. But if it doesn't feel empowering, then you know that that's generated from fear, right? To wait. So first off, without doing the thing tool, but what do you think the major resistance is for you? Like, what's the fear?
I don't want to, when I ran my previous workshop with her, I was very young energy with, I'm sorry, you're not marketing my product properly. You've never done NIA, and you're putting out marketing materials that are not true to my practice. It's not a place of integrity that I can endorse posts that do not accurately reflect what I'm going to be doing with your participants.
Yep.
So I was a real pain up their arse about it. And it resulted in a little bit of conflict, very professionally done, no personal below the belt stuff.
Yep.
But it resulted in a bit of conflict that needed resolution. And I, being the person that I am, I very happily and very readily always admit when I'm wrong. But I didn't admit more than my part.
Yep.
Yeah. So I didn't take on their role. So I said, hey, this is new to me as well. I realized I could have let a few things go. That being said, this and this still needs to happen, sort of stuff. So I feel like I was already an inconvenience to them before. And so I don't want to seem like more of an inconvenience demanding more from them. And so being an inconvenience, like my resistance is I don't want them to think that I'm difficult to work with. I want them choosing me to be an easy option for them. And if they see me as difficult to work with because I draw a hard line in the sand, then they're not going to want me.
Yeah.
And if they don't want me, I don't see any other leads, which is ridiculous because there are other leads. So
I knew you were coming to that conclusion. I could hear it coming. I was like, right, she's gone to the judgment, and then she's scared that she's going to burn her bridges and she's not going to have anywhere else to go, which is why. Sorry, I'm interrupting you, but I should be listening to you, which is why Which is why you.
Yeah, I don't know, which is why I'm not doing anything. I'm stuck in inaction.
Yeah. So the first thing is you need to work and truth rent that judgment part, the part of being scared of judgment from others. Yeah. Because if you loved yourself enough, you wouldn't give a fuck about judgment. You would care about the value of your work and it being represented properly, as it should be, because she hasn't done it, so she shouldn't be putting things out. You shouldn't be ashamed of that. So I would actually go back to that first thing, because it sounds like you still have some shame about how that last thing rolled out, right? Where you did do exactly which is correct, which is you are not representing the body of work that I have properly, right?
Yeah.
So you're still holding some, like a little bit of resistance around that, which is now affecting this future decision, because you're now going, oh no, I don't want that to happen again. So work through that judgment, and then it's about and then see if that part of you still feels like you're going to miss an opportunity or you're going to burn a bridge, and then remind yourself of who you really are. You are resourceful. You are a person who calls in spaces and people who are aligned with your work and with you, i.e. your personality, who is straight up and tells it how it is and wants your work to be represented well, because as it should be, because you've trained in it. That is the power of who you are. You may think this may be your only opportunity, but in reality, there are lots of opportunities to be made. Yeah. And this may still be aligned once you get over the resistance. You won't know until you've done that. Or once you've got the end of it, you might go, actually, this is not how I want to work, or these people are not working for me. And, you know, even if I go and follow up, you follow them up and they say, no, you go, it's fine. It's actually okay. I'm going to move on.
I can tell you now that there isn't trust from my side. And I don't know if you know Brené Brown's acronym for trust. Okay, this is magic. I'll write it out for you. So it's the reliability, of and G, generosity. Okay, so if you read from the top down, it's the word braving.
Yeah.
So that through, and this is like through research. She's done research on hundreds of people's stories and how they learn to trust or whatever. And she found that if you can say, I don't trust someone, but you can't quite put your finger on why, it'll be because one of these 7 things is missing. The fact that boundaries have been crossed, reliability isn't there, that people haven't owned up to their problems, they haven't kept the vault of confidentiality, they haven't acted with integrity, or you haven't acted within your integrity, there hasn't been non-judgment, or there has been judgment, and you haven't had generosity of heart and soul with them, like you haven't expected the best from them, or you haven't anticipated that you get the best from them, or given them your best, I suppose. And trust isn't there for me.
Yeah, and it's because you've been wounded from the past, right? You had this bad altercation with them, which is still hanging around in your thoughts and memories of this partnership that you're in. So that is your first part to unlock and to get out of the resistance of, is that first interaction. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's another thing that it's been bugging me, because Sophie, since you told me about the fact that it is possible to do business outside of social media, and that I've bought Leonie Dawson's course, which I haven't had a chance to start yet. I was waiting for this to end just because I don't have enough hours in the day. And I've packed it. I deleted all the apps off my devices, and I have been a very happy, productive person since I've been off social media. And the studio's primary way of marketing and collaborating and everything is on social media. So when they tag me in a whole bunch of posts and I get a message saying, hey Sarah, have you seen our posts? Why haven't you shared them on your stories? Or, you know, we want to go promote your classes and I'm doing this. I was wondering, is there a reason why you haven't wanted to share them on your posts? For me to say, thank you so much for your efforts, but I'm not going to help in your efforts at all because I'm moving off social media. I mean, that scares the shit out of me. Like, how can I expect a business that completely runs on social media marketing to endorse me who doesn't want to use social media? So tacked on top of all of this lack of trust, resistance.
And I think you won't know until you've worked through your thing first. Yeah. You won't, because you're making assumptions, you're projecting your fears into the other relationship, into the other side of the relationship, right? If you were the sort of woman who came in and went, I do NIA, I want it marketed this way, and I don't do social media, and And you said that with enough confidence and self-love to the right person who sees the value of what you are giving them. They'll go, I love her. You know,
Yeah.
I love her. I love that she just stick to her guns. She knows exactly how to do it. And but you're still saying, but I'm still going to get 20 people through the door. It's just that I do it my way. They'll go,
Yeah.
sure. Right.
Yeah.
So it's because you haven't handled that for yourself. You're still sitting in the, oh, what are they going to think of me if I don't, that you're not confident to bring this forward to them. Yeah.
I was working through a manifesting tool, you know, the final workshop and everything today. And, I've gone blank. So my statement of intent was, my how of how I'm going to manifest it is to focus on my craft. I noticed in the last 2 years of me teaching Nia, I've gotten so sidetracked by the marketing and so sidetracked by the right venue and so sidetracked with how I look and the ambience of the room and blah, blah, blah. And yes, I'm very meticulous and I'm a perfectionist with the way that I teach Nia. And so I have no question in my mind that I'm a damn good Nia teacher. But to me, I was like, if I am in love with the craft, if I am in love with the routines that I teach, if I have got a wide, varied offering of multiple routines, which take time to learn and master, this is for Sophie and Christina, like, then I will bring in the people.
Yes.
They will want to come because they will want to partake of my craft.
Yes.
And I think that's something that frustrated the crap out of me, is that this company and the owner hasn't attended my workshop. Her partner, business partner, who's a real introvert and who doesn't say anything, who doesn't make any of the major decisions, she came and she loved it. But the owner of this, she's like, oh yeah, you know, Neil will be so great, but Naya will be so great, and and I'm like, actually, it's Nia, and it'll absolutely will. And trust me when I say you need this in your life, and when you dance it, you will know why. And I want you to come to my worksheet. Yeah, I'm like, when you come, when you actually participate. And I've offered to do one-on-one or one-on-two classes just for her and her co-owner, so that she knows what the craft is, so she knows the benefits of it, and she hasn't taken me up on it. So I think I'm like,
I think you know what is happening, but either way, work through the resistance. So when you have to have however the conversation is meant to go, it's going to feel really good. And it's going to be away from any judgment. It's going to be away from any projection, all of that stuff, right? I think I know how this is going to unfold. I think you do too. However, if you're still in resistance when you come to the conversation, it is going to burn another bridge, or it potentially could burn another bridge when you don't want that. You just want it to be like exit from that gracefully. Yeah. And take all your energy with it, because otherwise energy will stay trapped in that situation for you to move into your next thing, if that's how it's supposed to go.
And I'll bring it with me in the next venture that I have.
And the same fears will come up and they'll show themselves again when you start to work and collaborate with other studios and things like that. So I wanted to, this reminded me part of your conversation about, you know, that confidence, the energy of which you bring yourself into a thing, how you can draw people by being so passionate and so good with your craft, is exactly, which is pretty much how I built my Nia community, which now had at its peak 6 teachers in a huge community all around. So they now run sustainably. That was my whole vision. I was the only person there.
That's what I want.
Yeah. And I went, actually, I don't want to ever stay in one place for too long because I'm a gypsy. So I need to make sure there's more teachers, right? And so they're widespread throughout a whole region in New Zealand now, that whole group of them. But the way that I did it,
so were you the pioneer in
I
New
was
Zealand?
The pioneer not in New Zealand, in Waikato, in the region that I was in.
Okay.
So I did it primarily through me just being so bloody in love with it. I would talk to people and I'd be like, I'm off to a Nia class. I'm off to teach a Nia class. And everyone's like, what is that? And I'd be like, quickly give them a thing. And I would just feel into what I thought they needed to hear and say. Yeah. Which I knew I could give. So I was like, oh, it just makes me feel really joyful, or oh, it makes me feel really good after a surf, or whoever I was talking to that was relevant to them. And they'd be like, I need to come. Yeah, of course you do. Right. So like, I know that energy of embodiment, which is exactly what Nia teaches, embodiment of the dance, and that passion can draw in people in your daily conversations. So you being around wherever you decide to have your Nia classes, having a cup of coffee, grabbing something quickly, interacting with the community who are already present around that studio, or however you do it, or the people you're going to attract. When you talk about that, it's going to bring them in. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then also having the boundaries around how you want to be marketed and how you want to run it in terms of not being on social media. It reminds me of when I used to work corporate, I've only ever had 2 jobs that were full-time. And I realized that I hated working full-time. They were just bullshit. And so I would apply for full-time jobs, but when I got there and they loved me, I'd just go, oh yeah, but I only work part-time. I only work 4 days a week. And they'd be like, what? But because I went in with such confidence, I was like, look, I know I'm going to get the job done. You know that most of your employees just fuck around for a day anyway, right? I said, I'm going to get in there, do it. I'm going to do it in 4 days, and you're going to pay me full-time wage. And they'll be like, okay. So it's that amount of confidence that I would love to see you go in and go into a studio and go, look, I know that you market mainly on social media. I just don't do social media, but I know I'm going to get 20 people in because this is how I do it. And they go, great, we'd love you to come. When are you holding your workshop? Right? You know, that's the kind of, that amount of confidence in your craft and who you are and what you have to deliver is how you can get exactly what you want. You don't have to compromise. If you totally don't want to be on social media, even if a studio does that and that's their thing, you still don't have to play by that rule. Yeah. And it's how you go in with how much confidence you have in, and also that not being scared of rejection.
Yeah, my intuition is telling me to go with a studio that is 3 blocks away from my house, who said to me from the beginning, oh, we're not interested in taking new teachers at this time, but we'd love to have your offering as a workshop. And I took that as a rejection, and I walked away, and I went towards Mantra Active, which is this other place. And I've just had uneasiness about it this whole time.
Yeah.
You
So
tap into your badassery.
Yeah.
I know.
Exactly.
When you were talking in the telegram, I'm tired. When you were talking in that group, you were channeling some serious queen energy. And when you said, yes, of course I can, I'll get such and such a number of people. And then you whispered to us, I can't guarantee that, but I can, I will. So I was like, I believe her. I completely believe that you can do that. 100%. No doubt.
Yeah. Okay.
It's the love.
Okay.
That is back to our whole conversation at the start of that whole total love of yourself. You love and respect yourself so much that you will not compromise on the fact you don't want to be on social media. And you also will not compromise on someone marketing your practice, which is inaccurate. And you will not also compromise on someone not having attended your workshop who is the owner. That is an amount of respect that she should give you and the practice. If she wants to have the honor of you stepping into her studio and teaching her beautiful students this practice, she should at least have the time to come and take your workshop, right? That's how I would feel about it. I'd be like, that's an instant no. If you cannot make the time to come and just experience this, so then you can actually accurately market it, then this is not for me. This is not the place that I need to be. Yeah. Okay. So do the resistance work first, clear that space, take your energy with you and see where that opens up for you. If it's still I'm not going to go with that place, that's totally fine. You're now ready to do that. And if it does open up, that's brilliant too. Yeah. But you know how to stand in your power.
Yeah, because I'm happy to move forward if I can be myself, and she sees that and she recognizes it and she respects that.
Yes.
And we move forward and we have a good relationship. But I'm just, she speaks about authenticity, and so I realize I'm coming to her with a lot of judgment, so that non-judgment needs to come from my side as well. So it's a 2-part thing. And another thing, like the big thing I'm finding is this week of being back at work, the 8 hours that I set aside for myself to do work, it's not enough. I need a minimum of 15, and I'm feeling really anxious about the fact, no, I need a minimum of 10 dedicated. 15 would be ideal, but there just aren't enough hours in the day to do what I need to do, to put in 15 hours of work. So I don't have time to make Instagram stories and edit them and put them up in a way that I feel is of high enough standard and of value to represent myself, because that literally took me an hour the other day. I was like, I planned to bar 3 songs in this time, and all I've done is put up 4 Instagram stories. That pisses me off for something that I don't really want to be doing. So anyway, okay, I'm done now. Thank you so much.
Okay,
Thank you.
so anyone else have anything that they want to bring up?
I'm in a place of fear about the hardness of everything that I have to face in the next sort of month or so. Well, more than that, but acutely in the next month or so, as my ex-husband arrives in this country, and you know, a little bomb goes off in my life and my son's life. And I know that I have the tools. I know that fear is resistance and everything, but yeah, just that really. Just, I'm afraid of the long battle.
Okay. Do you want a perspective, or do you just want us to listen to you?
I don't know. Give me a perspective. I don't really have anything more. I mean, there's nothing concrete short of boring you with the story, which I'm not going to do, because I could talk about it for 200 years, being an actor.
I love the drama. Let's bring more of the drama. So here's a perspective. I'm just listening to how you're speaking again. It's like, and the expectations you've. So anything how we create the world is through how we believe, right? And our beliefs often come out with how we speak or how we think. And so even when you're like, this is going to go on forever, like I think you said, you know, this long battle I have ahead of me. Yeah. So I would even, this is a game I play with myself when I have anything like that, where I go, this is going to be hard. This is going to take forever. It's not going to go fast. You can feel where that's hitting your limits, yeah? And where you've decided that you don't create anymore, or you create, I decide that I create a long, hard battle, is basically what you've just said, yeah? So then how can I create this to be not even a battle? How can I create this to be resolved quickly? Yeah, and this is always, when it comes to relationships or where it's dependent on someone else, that obviously has to come from you first. So when I think of that, when I think of battle, I think of like resistance and an emotional thing in me. And when I think of length of it, it's like I get to choose how long I stay in my suffering for, or how long I get to stay in this fear, or how long I get to stay in this anxiety, or whatever it is. That is my battle that I choose the length of. Yeah. So if I can get through that resistance, if I can work through that resistance, and I get to this point of where I'm just like, I'm ready for whatever and whatever, because I am a limitless being, because I'm resourceful, because I love myself so much, because I have all of this power within me, can just go off me. And so therefore I'm not in a battle. I'm just experiencing life. Yeah. And life happens to be, some people would think, is conflicting at the moment, because my ex-husband is doing this or whatever he is doing, right? And it's like, but for me, because I am here being this limitless being who has worked through her stuff, who is not resisting anymore, I'm just experiencing it, and it's brushing over me. Yeah. And I know that you know what that means in terms of embodiment. We've worked on this before together. So first, like, decide, do you want it to be a long battle for you?
No, and I mean, this is the interesting thing. This is where support groups, so-called support groups, is why I resist them so much, because I don't find them supportive. I find them, you know, it's just a lot of stories from other mums of, you know, children with additional needs about how it is just awful and a struggle, and how it takes so long, and you have to go to tribunal and
And this is because they're all in resistance. They're all in
Yeah.
resistance to something. They're all fearful of something. They're not actually just experiencing and being in life. So like you all would have read like Eckhart Tolle's like Power of Now or something, right? It's just about being now. And we've talked about this before, that idea of being the victim of. I'm like, I never identify myself as the victim of. I am the person who's experienced that. Yeah. Immediately in that idea, I have pulled back my power to me. And so you, and this is the problem with, as you said, like a lot of support groups, is that they will continue the victim-y energy. They will continue the resistances, and they'll try to normalize it with everyone. So it's normal that it's going to be really sticky, but we're here for you and we'll support you emotionally when it is sticky. Nah, bullshit. Like I just, you know, I actually don't want to be part of that paradigm where it's sticky and awful and horrible and it lasts forever. The actual like tribunals, whatever, the meetings, all that stuff, that actually may take a long time, but your energy that you put into that, your amount of resistance will dictate whether that is sticky for you or not.
Yeah.
Whether that is hard for you or not, or whether that's something that you just experience. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I always used to have this feeling as well of, and I have to, first of all, I have to acknowledge that this comes from a place of white privilege, and I do 100% acknowledge that. But I always used to have this feeling of, I know it's been hard for you guys, or I know that you all will struggle with this, but it's not going to be like that for me. I'm not going to have that. It was just an attitude of, I will make it be different for me.
That's a great attitude to have. Like, do not give up on that attitude, right? So sometimes when we hang out, those groups are perfect for like understanding that people and being heard. Right? And that's, I think, the only reason those groups think is that you can be heard and you can safely be heard. The difference we have with our group is we're not only being heard, but you're being empowered. Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm not letting you stay and just be heard and 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 be heard, and therefore creating the same reality over and over and over and over and over and over again. Oh, it's tiring. And so I would say just choose wisely when you go into that group. Go in to be heard. Yeah. Go into to go, okay, look, I'm not the only one experiencing this. I'm actually okay. And then come out and use what you have learned here to empower yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
So does that make sense? You don't, the length of time may actually be a physical reality that you have to go through, but the battle itself doesn't have to be a battle, because you get to choose how you emotionally are in that situation, how you energetically bring, what you energetically bring to the table, or what you take from that. And you have all the tools here where you can just be like, okay, well, that just happened. And we've got another one in a month, but I'm okay.
Yeah.
And we're here. Yeah. And as you can be projecting what you would ideally like as well in the future. You have a modicum of control in that. Yeah. So when you're using these tools, like the last module Sarah was talking about, you know, putting yourself into the future, and involves other people, especially like your son, your family, and your ex, you can still project what it would feel like for you. Yeah. And what you would ideally like it to feel like for your son, and maybe what you would ideally like it to feel like for your ex, but you don't actually have any control over them, right? But we can put some kind of energy towards that. That's this whole idea of like giving support to someone like online, like here, I'm not physically with you, but you can feel that, right? And so that's the idea of when we dream for someone else, they can feel that on some level. Yeah. So you can do that for them, knowing that that may not stick, because they also have to want that. But this is for, how would you like this to end up? How would you like to feel? How would you like to feel when you're in those conversations? Yeah. How would you like to feel afterwards? These are all things that you can bring to the table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. Thank you.
Welcome.
May I add something that I found really helpful a few years ago? It was actually one of my church leaders. So we believe that our ability to choose, and essentially in our language, to manifest, to be the change maker in our life, it is, I don't know, it's our superpower, right? Like our ability to choose how we are going to be, how we're going to react in a moment is our superpower. And he asked the question, he's like, do you want to be acted upon or be the agent to act?
Yes.
Do
Yes.
you want to leave yourself sitting there to be pushed at the whim of emotional waves or physical waves or temporal waves of whatever's going to happen around you? Or do you want to be the one stepping in and making a decision of which direction you want to go? And it seems as though, it absolutely is the case that what I sensed when you said I'm afraid was a stop. There was no motion, there was no progression, there was no direction. It was just an ending of I'm afraid, and that's it. And to be the agent of change in your life is to say, I'm afraid, but I'm afraid, and then and to find, what am I going to do in spite of being afraid?
And I would even hazard to say that what we've done is that you're not in fear. So we work one step more. It's not, I'm going to do the steps even though I'm afraid. That is a level, and that definitely is a level we all have to go through. We're going up a level from that, is I am no longer afraid and I am doing this choice because I am all powerful and I am limitless, right? So yeah, love it.
Yeah, good. Thank you.
Because I was a big man. If you've seen any of my videos from maybe 3, 4 years ago, coaching videos, they're all about, I used to have a hashtag fuck fear. And that was my thing, because I was just like, I don't give a fuck if you're afraid, you're going to do it. The best way to get through fear is just to do it, which worked for me for a while. But I also noticed that it had a huge toll on my nervous system. Yeah. And then I eventually got more and more anxious, and I had first time anxiety attacks, all that sort of stuff. And then I was like, I actually need to do this another way, because I can't keep just going fuck fear and doing it, right? Because my nervous system's like, and then I'd force myself to take the action, even though it scared the bejesus out of me. So we're going one level more than that, which is returning to your real authentic self, who is fearless because she knows she has everything she needs. She knows that she has everything that she needs to help her through any situation. Yeah. And so therefore there is no reason for fear. And she also knows she creates her reality. And so again, there's not really many unknowns to her, because she's making it. She's making it so. Yeah. Awesome. Well, if there's nothing else coming up, we might just wrap it up for now. We have
time.
a week and a half-ish, 28th. I never remember the date. For some reason, it's a really weird date for me. Anyway, it's Wednesday week. It's Wednesday week when we end, when we close up the container. So this container as it looks right now. So in that meantime, think about how you would like to continue support, whether that's within yourself, whether that is with perhaps me stepping in now and again and we change it into more of a group membership, or for Christine and Sarah, if you wanted to do some VIP work with me, that's also on the cards. So you can ask me more of that in private. I also want you to use that group to really, whatever is coming up this week, celebrations, hard, whatever, let's really gun for the end and just see what we can create, whether that is an energetic wave going towards where we need to go, or whether it's practical things happening. Let's just get onto it. Really use these last week and a bit to to make the most of it, really. Cool. Okay, ladies, I will put this recording up onto the Member Vault platform shortly after this, or possibly even tomorrow. And we'll be in touch over Telegram. Oh, also, I need you to think about what time we can meet for our little last get together. So I did suggest the same time on the Wednesday as this. If you are all free, would that work?
Yeah, in
Okay.
fact, on that Wednesday, that's the only time I could do.
Okay, perfect. Okay, let's log that in then. I will send you an invitation for that last meeting that we have, and that will be totally about celebrating, totally about just being in each other's presence for the last time in this capacity. So until then,
Awesome.
ciao for now. Have a beautiful evening, Sarah. A beautiful day, Sophie and Christina. We'll catch up soon.
Thank you,
Lots of love.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.